Coming up, tracking tornadoes with helicopters, restoring honor to the wasps.
A series of first flights and a solar plane for the rest of us.
Plus, it has been a rust bucket for years. The restoration you've got to see. AOPA Live this week begins in just a moment.
From your first skyward glance, the dream of flight compelled you. And from your first glimpse of a Cirrus, you realized that dream had a name. Cirrus Aircraft. Go where you've never been before.
It's a victory for some of our nation's heroines. Wasps are finally allowed back into Arlington National Cemetery. Thanks for choosing AOPA Live this week. I'm Tom Haynes.
I'm Melissa Rudinger, and we're glad you're with us. The women Air Force Service Pilots fought for us in World War II. They've fought for recognition and their sacrifices ever since. Finally, after many months of fighting to restore their rights to have their ashes interred at Arlington National Cemetery, Congress has passed legislation to make it happen. AOPA has been pushing for this to happen.
Now there's a third path for medical certificate reform through Congress. Senator Inhofe's Pilots' Bill of Rights 2 has just been added to the National Defense Authorization. So now there are 3 bills pending in Congress that could greatly simplify private pilot medical certification. Senator Inhofe says the Senate is committed to getting third-class medical reform done this year. On the other side of the Capitol, though, the issue is stalled in the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee.
Meanwhile, over in Britain, they've just gone ahead and done it. Their Civil Aviation Authority says it will reduce the current medical requirements for private pilots. UK pilots will only have to meet the medical standard required to get a driver's license. No exam by an aviation medical examiner. The Brits wanted to reduce the regulatory burden on their pilots. They could find no data that would suggest that doing that would compromise aviation safety in any way. We would agree with that. There's no data to show that we need the third class.
We would agree with that, and we also wonder if we couldn't vote for those guys instead of the ones that we're forced to vote for, perhaps. Meanwhile, AOPA is working with the FAA to improve pilot certification and training. The FAA published a notice of proposed rulemaking for Part 61. Part 61 governs the certification of pilots, flight instructors, and ground instructors. AOPA advocated for many of the changes, including rules that allow for an increased number of advanced training device or simulator hours that can be used toward instrument training. Many of the proposals will save pilots time and money while making it easier to maintain or expand their skills.
A big step for Cirrus Vision Jet. The first production jet just flew for the first time. The flight is a major milestone towards FAA certification and customer delivery. After flight testing, the jet will be used for continued development of the Vision Jet flight training program. And another first. The DART 450 made its first flight. The Diamond Aircraft Reconnaissance Trainer is the first all-carbon fiber tandem 2-seat trainer with a side stick and pneumatic ejection seats. Flight test engineers are happy with the performance over the first hour. So much so that the serial production has been green-lighted and the airplane has gone from the first drawings to the first flight in less than a year.
Well, it's happening this weekend, the first AOPA fly-in of the year. We're going to beautiful seaside community of Beaufort, North Carolina.
The community is just going to be unlike anywhere I think that you've ever been before. We're a small town, but the beauty of the nature here and the friendliness of the people you're going to find is just going to be making it a very enjoyable weekend. So you can come for the day, but really to experience everything that Carter County has to offer, you need to come for the weekend or even a week.
FBO Southern Air is ready to welcome you. They're waiving ramp fees, bringing in extra staff, and offering a discount if you choose to buy fuel. On the airport, all the fun of an AOPA fly-in, including the Friday night Barnstormers party. Saturday will be filled with seminars, exhibits, and interesting aircraft in the static display. We'll have a free trolley system if you want to go into town or the old Civil War Fort Macon. We do need to know you are coming, though, to get a ticket online because of limited space, and please RSVP online at aopa.org/fly-in. You can also find the NOTAM and fly-in procedures there. We have a video on the procedures and another on flying through the special use airspace near Beaufort. Hope to see you in Beaufort, North Carolina this weekend, rain or shine. Well, it was more junk than aircraft. It had been abandoned on the ramp so long that they had paved around the landing gear. It was a labor of love that makes no financial sense, but the result, it's priceless. AOPA pilot senior editor Al Marsh reports.
A North American Navion sat mired in the tarmac of a California airport until Dave Wakefield found it and brought it back to life. Here's his story.
I like old vintage airplanes, and I wanted to rescue one. Fortunately, it does take a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of patience. The condition was pretty bad. It hadn't flown in nearly 20 years. As far as how long I thought it would take, initially 6 to 8 months. That ended up being about 15 months. All in all, it was a 3,000 man-hour job. What I thought it would cost was anywhere between $120,000 to about $180,000, and it was significantly northward of that higher figure.
Nothing's as easy as you think it's going to be. Each one of these restorations is a little bit different, almost like a can of worms. And then David came to us and wanted us to do this airplane, and we try to give it to him softly that, hey, there's a little more than meets the eye here, and everything needed to go, and we needed to start over. We did a lot of sheet metal, and just to bring the thing back to some good bones. And then that's where David really wanted to get in and focus on the interior and the paint and avionics. And that is truly David's airplane. It's got a really modern paint job on it. Just the lines of the airplane and the paint. You set that thing on the ramp next to a Cirrus, and people think it's a 2-year-old airplane, and it's not. It's a 65-year-old airplane. I love the airplane. I love the way it looks. I love the way it sounds. I love the way it flies.
Push the throttle forward, and there's just gobs of power there. It will do anything you ask of it. You can load that thing up with people and gear, and there's a lot of things you don't have to worry about when you compare it to other airplanes. And it's so roomy. I mean, it's like sitting in like an old VW Bug, which is a lot of room for when you're talking about general aviation aircraft. It's a very distinctive sound with the power plant I have in this engine, which is a Lycoming GO45 geared engine. Most people who know me know when I'm flying in the area because of that sound, so they know it's me. It's good and it's bad. I think my first flight in that airplane was going over to Catalina, and I thought that was pretty cool because here we are over the water, just 20 miles away from this small little island just off the coast of Southern California, and then having a buffalo burger. I didn't know there was such a thing at the time.
The Navion restoration proves that even a pile of parts can be made to fly again if only there's enough passion to spend the money. Al Marsh, AOPA Live.
Thanks, Al. This 1947 Navion is on the cover of the June issue of AOPA Pilot. There's a lot more to the story inside, including why this Navion was so special to Dave Wakefield.
Coming up after the break, 2 different solar-powered airplanes are in the headlines.
And tracking tornadoes with a news helicopter. You're watching AOPA Live this week. Welcome back to AOPA Live this week. Solar Impulse 2 continues its trip across the U.S.
The airplane is currently in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The solar-powered Earth Rounder flew there from Arizona. Next stop, JFK in New York. No word yet on when that is expected.
The possibility of a solar-powered airplane you can fly is coming closer to reality. A Colorado company is working on a 2-seat solar-powered general aviation airplane. It's called the Sunflyer, and the prototype was just unveiled. The plane will use a combination of solar cells in the wings with lithium-ion batteries. The company says the plane will only use $1 of electricity for each hour of flight. The airplane is designed to be a much more affordable trainer. Flight schools are already interested.
Well, if you think wings only work in the air, the boats of the America's Cup are ready to prove you wrong. The racers are taking advantage of aircraft technology to cut through the water. AOPA Online's Dave Toulis was at one of the races leading up to the 2017 America's Cup in Bermuda. He got an in-depth look at how the same principles we use in the sky are shaking up the yachting world. Find it right now on AOPA.org. Just search America's Cup.
Well, there's what's forecast and then there's reality. So how do you know what you're really going to run into?
Pilot reports, or PIREPs, are an important way to get real-time information. They're important not only to pilots, but also to weather forecasters who use them to validate their forecasts, and to the ATC as well. But the PIREP system isn't working as well as it should. The NTSB and AOPA want to find ways to improve it. And so we are asking you to take part in a national survey on PIREPs. You can find the survey at aopa.org/PIREP. And speaking of weather, parts of Arkansas are cleaning up after damaging storms. The Salem airport took a direct hit. Crews are still working to clear debris as we record this. The airport manager tells us that a Mooney, a 182, and an ultralight were destroyed in the storm. Several hangars were also destroyed, and the terminal building was heavily damaged. And while most pilots hope to avoid severe weather, a select few help save lives by flying near tornadoes and tracking them, and alerting the public to where they are.
AOPA Live's Paul Harrop takes us to Oklahoma City, where a news helicopter is a vital lifeline when the skies turn dark.
Off, I see OHP. OHP is running up the road right now. He's trying to get these people cleared off. This has turned into a massive tornado. As you can see these live pictures from Bob Mills, Sky News 9.
Mother Nature's not a predictable entity.
It's springtime in Tornado Alley.
We continue to prove, I think over and over again that we live in one of the most volatile, violent places on the planet.
Warm, moist air from the Gulf meets cool, dry air from the Rockies. The prairie sun cooks up convection, and thunderstorms are born. Add in the right wind profile, and they start spinning. Television stations break into programming, going wall to wall with coverage to warn the public in real time.
This is a mesocyclone and a wall cloud underneath it. When they start rotating like the one behind me, as a tornado warning gets issued. But that happens a lot in the Great Plains. So how do viewers know when to take one seriously?
It takes live video to really drive home the idea. And what better way to see it than from the air?
It's coming out of the water. It's now on the east bank of Lake Thunderbird. That's the east bank of Lake Thunderbird. This is turning into a massive tornado.
For more than 2 decades, Oklahomans have trusted pilot reporter Jim Gardner, who flies a Bell 407 for KWTV in Oklahoma City.
I'm just on the north side of Newcastle, shooting back to the northwest. You're looking at that tornado. That is moving towards I-44 here.
Jim's live look at the dangerous storms helps Chief Meteorologist David Payne drive home the situation to weather-jaded viewers.
It's kind of the fire that I think sometimes people need. People are like, I'm looking at it on radar, but when they see a picture, or when they see the video live of this small or this large tornado, it has a tendency to provoke, oh my gosh, this is serious. It's right here.
That's exactly what happened to the Underwood family in a southern suburb of Oklahoma City.
We got power flashes. It's in a heavily populated area right now.
I heard them say, right there, 12th Street and more, and I'm like, that's right here, that's where we live, get in the hallway.
I've been right here.
We knew it was going to get close, and when it actually hit the house and we heard the grinding and the tearing of the house apart, that's when we actually opened the closet and threw them in.
Had it not been for the chopper, this family would have never taken cover. That reality hits home for the young camera operator in Jim's back seat. The pictures come from the gyro-stabilized lens of photojournalist Ben Smith. He'll never forget learning that his shot helped save the family.
And that was just kind of gut-wrenching, kind of heart-wrenching, and pretty unbelievable feeling to be able to have an effect on someone like that.
I'm going to be coming up directly south of it. It's just a little northeast of me right now.
But for all the dangers the tornadoes pose to people on the ground, Jim says the flying is all about using common sense risk management. and careful coordination with the team of meteorologists back at the station.
Is it dangerous? It only the way you look at it.
We got a tornado on the ground.
Anything you do in this business is safe. You know, you just have to know your limits. You know, have to know the aircraft limits, and it can be done safely.
But for Oklahomans like the Underwoods,
this is where the swings were, and this is where the monkey bars were.
Jim Gardner and Sky News 9 HD are lifelines.
And it's proved that it has saved thousands and thousands of lives.
If Jim Gardner wasn't showing what he was showing, I don't think we'd all be here.
In Oklahoma City, Paul Harrop, AOPA Live.
It is gone. There is nothing here.
Thanks, Paul. Proof that general aviation serves America, rain or shine. We should note Paul is an experienced storm chaser, and don't try to get close to severe weather without the proper training. And well, that does it for this week. We hope it's good weather wherever you are.
And we hope to see you in Beaufort, North Carolina this weekend. One way or another, see you on the next AOPA Live this week.